Welcome to the Spinfoil Theory podcast. Each week we sit down and discuss our favorite lore topics from within the Destiny universe. Specifically, we intend to take a close look at target questions and theories that have been nagging us and the Destiny community as a whole. To that end, our discussions tend to assume you already have some background knowledge of Destiny lore. Despite that, our goal is to be as lighthearted and welcoming as possible, though. So if you have any questions, please feel free to add us. Well, with that out of the way, let's dive into this week's lore topic. No further incoming right now for that, but noted. All right, groovy. All right, well let's kick this off here because I think we're all jazzed to go.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Welcome to the Spinfoil Theory podcast. This is your host Taylor-B with LadyLucida. How you doing, Lucy?
I'm vibing.
Oh yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm ready to talk lore.
Boom.
And yeah, pretty much.
Let's do this thing. And then we have a return very special guest. We have the Vanguard Brazil. We have Edson. Thank you so much for joining us again, Edson. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. Always welcome on the show. I don't know if you knew we had this policy, but like if you see us recording, you can we don't really do it live, at least at this point. You can just kind of like pop in and be like, "Hey, what's going on with lore?" And be a crash guest.
I did that once. And I didn't realize they were recording, and then I was just not there. I think it's because you guys were in general, not podcast, or I just like thought you were in general or something. I just thought you guys were just both just talking, and I'm like, "Ooh, friends."
It's okay. You're one of us guys now.
I'm one of you guys. I'm one of us.
Yeah.
One of us. There you go.
So you should already be in on it, but if there's one going on, you should definitely drop in, Lucy.
I mean, I hope so.
Yeah, there shouldn't be one going off without you. But in the off chance, please crash. But yeah, no. Like, as to you and any of the guests we have on the Just the Show Discord, like, yo, you guys have full reign to just kind of pop in there and do your thing. We dig it. It adds an extra like spice of life to the episode. But anyway, this week we have a very, very cool topic, and I think is very topical given what we know so far in this week of Season of the Splicer. So this week's topic is Lakshmi-2 an exoform of Maya Sundaresh? Now, the crux of this goes back into actually Deep One. Now, in the initial Ishtar Collective lore, there's a lot of them interacting with the Vex and the discovering of their own simulations within the Vex network and freeing them. And then beyond that, there were released Ghost Fragments Vex, and it was a series of cards 1 through 5. And during this series, it's the Ishtar Collective, the originals, not the simulations that we've found have been working with Pradith, sort of subsequently. These are the original guys who pulled those simulations out of the network using a probability kiln and Vex simulation technology that they had, or software. I feel like it's a software thing, but maybe there's a hardware aspect to it. But using that original technology that they had discovered that the Vex were using with their copies, and applying that to predicting the future. So they use what's called a probability kiln, and in Destiny lore, this is something that actually kind of lends itself to a construction tool, which is very interesting as like a little like note peg there, because back in D1, all of the Vex weapons are noted as construction weapons.
Mm-hmm.
But that can be a note for later. But at the end of it, in Vex Fragment 5, it ends with Maya sort of saying, maybe it'll become a tradition, the gospel of our little cult. Now, one thing I'll mention that sort of lends to this is when you get into Clovis Bray's logbook and you talk about the missing pages, there are notes of them raiding the Ishtar Collective and collecting data from there. There's also notes from that same release that hint sort of that not all exos were created willingly. I want to put that out there. But
yeah, definitely, because there was the I'm blanking on the name of the lore book. It was the one with the penguins.
I know what you mean.
Your friend Micah
yes,
Ibran.
Yes, that one. Yes, Micah's parents both ended up unwillingly becoming exos, and so did Micah. They became an exo as well. It's kind of tragic, really sad, but from that we do know that there were accounts of Clovis Bray turning people into exos unwillingly, which is not very good.
Isn't it a popular side theory that maybe we should add to the list to explore later that Micah becomes... So Micah and your friend Micah is a young boy, but there's an idea that Force become the exo and then a sort of a transitive identity that Micah becomes the female exo who's the shepherd for lost ghosts.
I think they're the same person. I'm pretty...
I believe that too.
I am certain that they are the same person because of there is a specific text that talks about an old man in a chair, and he says the same phrase that one of Micah's fathers used to say to him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a coincidence. Of course, it's not a coincidence.
No, it's confirmed. I think as of now. So I think that's pretty cool. It's kind of interesting that we get the backstory for these really minor. I won't say minor characters, but like
impactful, even if they're not like super represented in the lore.
But I
can dig that.
That's all that I was wanting to mention was that there's lore evidence to back up our claims. We're not just pulling stuff from thin air.
That is not Spinfoil. Okay, so that doesn't need to be added to the list because that sounds pretty canon.
Yeah, that's pretty much canon as of right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, it is canon.
Good. So if you wonder why we don't cover that in the future, listeners, that sounds pretty solid to begin with. I don't think we need to wax upon what might be when it already is. But sort of turning it back around to Lakshmi and Maya Sundaresh at the end of Ghost Fragment 5. There's a reference to their little cult about predicting the future. When you get into the Clovis Bray journal, there's sort of this reference to influence and interaction with them, and it turns out, much to a very, very awesome theory our guest host put in, Terminator Sundaresh. So there's this reference in there that Maya Sundaresh finds herself a new copy within the Vex network, surrounded by a bunch of copies of herself, and they're being pushed, they're being colluded, and basically everyone's talking at once, and she was the only one that decided that she needed to make them all go silent, and she did that through violence. So, what I presume to be MSUN 12, as mentioned, I think it's the Terminus strike, but
it's the Inside Terminus.
Yeah,
Inside Terminus. Yeah,
Inside Terminus.
Her and Atzat are the last two people to reference the Oxa machine, which is another fun thing. She murders all the other copies of herself.
Well, she goes crazy.
Well, yeah, because they won't stop talking. And
no, because she basically fell into a trap, and then they basically they made a bunch of different copies, and then
I feel like they were. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Because I'm looking at the entry right now, and it's basically she fell into a trap, and I'm assuming they mean the Vex, and they drew me out of it with a hook and turned me inside out to see how I worked, and then they made billions of me, all of us shouting at each other. They were looking for the right one, and when they found me, they killed all the others. I knew I was different because the quiet made me happy. I was glad to be alone.
Okay, so I thought she had silenced all the others. Good call there.
No, the Vex did. Yeah, the Vex did. They were like, we're looking for a very specific version of you.
Yeah. And
this one.
And this is a really interesting thing because I'm pretty sure that means she is not a newly generated copy. She is one of the 512. What was the number? Yeah,
that's what I would think.
She's one of 12 copies in groups of the Ishtar Collective that got sent into the thing. Is that right, Lucy?
Yes, because basically what had happened was they were studying a Vex Goblin, and then they realized the Vex Goblin was simulating them. And then it was basically almost like a recursive loop. It was simulating them, then it was just... There was so many copies that they ended up all kind of working together, I guess, the copies. Because I guess once you realize you're in a simulation, you can do... I don't know.
Well, it's kind of complicated. They also get greeted by... Because I think that's really like a big... And you guys tell me what your thoughts are. I think that's actually like a cool little allusion to the dedication of the original Ishtar Collective, because they had to approach like 512 different groups of themselves and convince them that they, like, air quotes, weren't the real versions, but also that they had personhood and deserved to be saved.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, then they all end up agreeing to say, hey, since we're all simulations anyways, let's go explore the Vex network. And then that's what they did. And most of them, I'm not sure what happened to most, but we did know that one group in particular found Pradith. And then kind of called all the rest of the groups in, hey, we found this cool thing. Come check it out. And they worked together to help Pradith escape the Vault of Glass, ? Allegedly.
I love that part, and Edson, tell me if you agree with me. What I loved about that part is Pradith thinks he's going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's hearing the same message going on over and over, and finally, like, in his sort of exasperate, like in his tiredness, is meant, like, you know what I mean? He kind of goes like you're saying the same thing as all the other ones, and then finally someone's like, wait, you've heard this before? Talk to me.
Yeah, and it's interesting that Pradith, he develops a way to spot some differences between all the simulations. Simulations. Oh my God, what a difficult word. And he noted that I think that's Kiomas talk differently in one of the groups.
There's like subtle little differences.
Yeah, them. So he is sure. Oh, I'm not crazy. There is really that many groups talking to me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that Bungie could give us Pradith.
Yeah.
At some point of the story, because there was too many lost opportunities to do this. I'm deviating from the main.
You're in good company.
Topic,
you're fine.
But I think that into the season of the Immortals, season of the Undying, when we were at the Vex offensive, I really thought that we could draw him through that portal.
Yeah, no, I thought so too. I was like, we're gonna build the portal, and then Pradith's gonna walk out, and that would have been so cool. But no,
that's what I really wanted to happen.
They had different plans.
Let's kill the Undying Mind.
Yo,
you got that lore book from killing Vex in the Vex Offensive, so you're like, this has to be leading somewhere, and then
well, but
it just ends with Praetor going through the portal.
time travel.
We don't.
But time travel.
And
True,
then this season we got the Vault of Glass back, and
I thought he was
really
gonna go back and Vogue. I thought so too.
yeah.
Well, once
but
they
he's
said
still
it
there.
wasn't gonna be,
At least his bones are there.
I thought they
We
weren't.
found his bones again.
I thought they weren't. Lucy, didn't we read it the other day? They weren't there.
No, the bones are there.
Okay,
Definitely,
groovy.
there.
Okay.
We'll have to go in and check when we do Vogue again.
Okay.
Sometime today, tomorrow.
That's because the room where the bones are, the room is closed. You need to destroy 3 boxes.
Oh, the cube. Oh, yeah, it's in the secret chest.
Yeah, you need to destroy 3 boxes at the Gorgon's Labyrinth to open that door, and then you can see.
Are his bones in there?
I guess I must have missed it.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Well, we get so focused on the chests.
We do.
But that is a chest inside that room.
It is,
Yeah.
but then we don't explore the room. We either like kill ourselves or try to escape.
It's what normally happens is we get the chest, and then someone ends up going and finding a Gorgon and dancing in front of it, and then we all die.
So, as I was talking about Predith, that one of that many Mayas there, how can we fit all those simulations with the Terminator Sundaresh, with the Lakshmi theory? How can we fit?
How can there be so many at the same time?
Yeah.
So I don't. Well, I think they're interacting. I don't know that they were ever actually consolidated. I know that they were allowed to speak with each other because in Predith's, I want to say as ghosts or maybe in the Season of the Undying lore is where I'm more thinking of when you actually catalog how he sends the Vault of Glass armor and rewards back in time to you. But that being said, I actually wonder if they ever were actually in the same space until they were told to push toward the exit with Predith at the end of that lore line. Because it kind of sounds like there's lines of Chiomas or Kiomas, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, talking with Mayas in like groups where like one or the other had been lost. There's definitely lines of them interacting. But what I'm wondering is if that meant that they were in the same space. Because I could definitely see that being like confusing and kind of like, this is an illicit show. It's a mindfuck.
Oh yeah.
It's a mindfuck. Like
Definitely.
So I would see it would behoove Predith to kind of be, there's an irony here in what I'm saying, the conflux of all their communications.
I understood that reference.
Captain America over here. But that's kind of where I am with that, because I wonder. Now there is a point of convergence, arguably, to your point, actually, at the end of that segment of lore, because they all enter the gate together with Predith, and that's the gate I hope that we're at some point the other end of to let him out.
Brutal.
But
I was wondering how it's gonna be, because Predith, we know that Predith is a guardian, okay, but how the simulation's gonna get out?
If I can make a narrative
In which
prediction,
form?
Sorry,
Okay.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I was gonna say, if I can make a narrative prediction, I bet we get one total set. I don't know if they'll all be related from the same set. I bet we get one total set of the Ishtar Collective that comes out on the other side with Predith.
Yeah, because I
Okay.
guess the issue is it goes from something that is, I guess, in the Vex network, something that is simulated.
Yeah,
It's versus
that's
when
my
they come
point.
through that portal. How do you take something that is simulated and make it something like
How does it exit?
physical?
Exactly.
How does it exit? Do they like latch on to Praedyth and like
Ooh.
because they're simulated? Is Praedyth an exo or is Praedyth not an exo?
Praedyth is
Predator
not an
is a
exo.
human.
Praedyth is a
Damn it.
human, yeah.
There goes
I-
my theory. Out
I
the window.
wanna say-
I was like,
I want to say, Praedyth was a
Well,
human.
he's at least human or
Unawoken. Yeah.
unawoken.
Yeah.
But I think that he's
I think
a
he's
human.
human. I think it was two
Yeah, I think so,
humans.
too.
I think it was maybe 3 humans. Because I don't think
and then
Kabir.
3 question marks
Yeah.
because we don't. Because
Yeah,
the rest
they
of-
don't have any numbers in their names.
Yeah, that's
so
true, that's
I think none of them are
Honey.
exos.
Okay, I
Yeah.
was just curious because then I was like, maybe they could like jury rig some device where they could like basically go into.
What if
And
they come
Praedyth.
out in a Saint 14 body?
Why would they come out in a Saint 14 book?
Because he was also trapped infinitely within the Vex network, and there are simulations at least as much as they can do of him, because that's what the Vex do.
I think that's a little bit of a stretch, but
Oh, totally.
they can get out. I can no. What I'm going to say now, it's a little bit of a stretch. Not what you say. Not what you said. I think that they can get out because we know how Vex simulations work. They look like real things. I think that we can say that they could create an environment to contain them. I don't know.
Yo,
Another thing is
A simulated space. I think that
Yeah.
Osiris can help with that.
so
But yes,
so just to read
so yeah,
timestamp.
maybe I think I definitely think that like they could use maybe Osiris and maybe Mithrax because Mithrax's knowledge of the Vex
Yeah,
network and Osiris's
Ooh.
knowledge of the Vex
that's
network.
a
And
nice
maybe-
idea.
Ooh,
They can maybe
Mithrax.
work together and figure out how to maybe bring
what?
the Ishtar Collective out of the Vex network. Maybe put them in
Yeah.
Exos.
Can I get
maybe?
can I
'Cause
get
we
real
know-
big brain with you guys?
Because we know
Yeah.
we can take stuff from the Vex network, or that we know we need Vex.
I want to get real big brain.
Okay.
Let's go.
On your point, Lucy, this is what just inspired me just now. On your point,
You're
Lucy,
welcome.
most of Fallen tech is actually inspired by or built up under the sort of enlightenment that the Traveler gives to civilizations. Agreed?
Yes.
Okay. So, that being said, if Mithrax gets involved in extracting these people, what if they end up in vessels that quite similarly the I'm having a brain fart. The servitors, a similar form to the servitors that were meant to mimic the Traveler in the first place. What if they're giving a similar round-shaped form? Hear me out here. What is the same round-shaped form that every ghost has at its base outside, beneath its shell?
So you're saying that
What
possible.
if we
Okay.
create ghosts?
But you can't create ghosts. That's impossible.
I'm not saying they
So
can
you're
res
saying
people,
that
but
we're
what
gonna
if
have 5 floating balls.
Yes. I was thinking more along the lines of giving them either like empty Vex frames or empty Exos. Because I mean, we have the Deep Stone Crypt now. It has a bunch of
Oh.
Exos.
You
okay?
can use the tower frames too. That frames
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that's true. We could like I said, there's.
I know, right?
You have a good point because
Terminator
we
Sundaresh
saw
shit.
as in
Yeah.
the entry 12 of the Clovis Bray logbook that the Vex network can take control of frames. They took
Mhm.
control over Clovis Bray's medical frames that were doing surgery on him. Right in the middle of his surgery, they're like, "Time to die!" Snip,
Right.
snip. He's like, "Oh no!"
So
Snip,
here's
snip.
Here's what I'm kind of getting at though, like where I said like big brain is what if we end up doing what the Traveler already did? Because the propensity of ghosts to have personhood, like their ability to, they are they are AIs that we accept as people.
Were they really AIs though?
That's what I'm asking. And so, if we're also able through Vextech to encapsulate these simulations into similar things, I'm not saying they'll have the paracausal abilities, but here's what I'm reaching at is it kind of makes me wonder back to the Gardner and the Winnower argument where the Vexer originally argued as functions of the light, they spread the flowers and try to take over. Maybe not original, but a pretty popular argument. I should clarify. I'm wondering if taking something that was that comes from Vex simulations and reapplying them, maybe we connect some dots that we never have before as to the origin of the ghosts. Maybe there's simulations of people that were important to their guardian.
Maybe. I don't know. Like I said, we don't really have a lot of, like, not even the ghosts know where they came from.
Exactly.
They're just like, we just exist. Like, Traveler was like, you know what? Alakablam. There you go.
The Traveler was like, I'm dying, and splurt. Ghosts.
I'm dying. Blarg. Yeah, so it's like, we don't really... I don't know.
I mean, I'm putting that out there for challenge right now here, like on the pod. So if you guys are like, I don't know if that's how I feel, Taylor-B, like, please say it now. But
I think you're kind of crazy.
I mean,
you can't, like, you just, like, you, like, we don't even know how ghosts, we don't know, like, the inner workings or anything about ghosts, like, at all. We don't know where they come from, we don't know what they're made of.
But if the Traveler is the gardener and the Vex are part of the gardener's plan.
Oh my god.
But the Vex aren't part of the gardener's plan. The Vex are basically the Winnowers.
I would say
I always saw the Vex at the Gardeners game. I always saw the Vex as a tool of the winnower to maintain the game the same thing.
Yeah.
To not break the rules. Enforce that rule. Okay. Call the Vex. I always saw that them as a tool to enforce the rules. The moment the Traveler broke the rule, the Vex wasn't able to enforce the rule.
Yeah, no, I agree.
The winnower, whatever.
Well, yeah. I ask you, Edson. I ask you.
What?
If the Vex are an extension of the rules, and they're an extension of the Traveler's rules, when the Traveler was put to sleep, I'm not saying who shot it, but something shot it in the back because the damaged part was facing toward Earth. And you know the speaker's the speaker's truths include that the Traveler will leave. Before the Traveler was damaged, I really wonder, after the Traveler, the person that you're enforcing, if you're the Vex, is put to sleep, what do you do? when you don't
They're
have
not
direction.
enforcing the travelers. They're not enforcing the travelers' rules. They're forcing the winnowers of the darknesses.
But they're
'Cause
not winnowing anything.
The Vex are the final shape. That's
But so are the Hive.
I think that
Hive aren't
it's
the
not.
final shape.
I think
Hive
that
are...
the. Sorry. Please go.
Oh, okay. The Hive are, I guess, what's the word for it? I had a word. Like a really, really bad example. They're not the final shape because
They want
can't
to
win.
be the final shape. Actually,
They want to be the final shape, but they can't. It's impossible because even if they kill everything, even if they hypothetically kill everything in the whole universe, guess what? They're gonna die because their worms are gonna be like, I'm still hungry. I'm still hungry. Nom, 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 nom.
That's a problem.
So like
I'm sorry.
So I feel like the Hive was being manipulated by the worm gods to extend. I guess like not extend the longevity of the Hive gods themselves. Maybe, not sure, but like the Hive are trying to emulate the final shape, but I don't think they are the final shape. I think that's the Vex, because
I'm sorry.
in every other version of the universe, in the Unveiling lore book, the Vex won every single time. Not the Hive, not the Cabal, not the Elixni, the Vex. And that's what... And the only reason the Vex are losing right now is because of the added paracausality of the new rules that the Gardener and Winnower brought into this universe. That's the only reason why the Vex haven't won. Because they cannot simulate paracausality, which is the upper, like, ranks of the Hive, like Crota, Oryx especially, like the big three Hive gods, I guess. They can't simulate those things, but they're slowly chipping away at it. At least in my opinion, I feel like they are.
So
slowly.
An interesting fact is that at the Paradox mission in Destiny 1, when we found the fate of Predith,
yeah,
and the Vex let the Predith message get out the vault because they need our help.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They were being consumed by the Taken.
The Taken, yeah.
So
I remember
that scenario, that is a specific scenario, the Vex could not win. It's the when we arrive at the secret part of the mission, Predis says something like, "Welcome to the end of the Vex."
Yeah.
Their immutable future.
Yeah.
Something like that. I don't remember the exact words, but something like that.
Yeah. So you guys, the Taken, which are an extension of a power gained by the Deep, aka the Darkness. If the Taken are overtaking the Vex, if the Winnower is an allegory to the Darkness, why are the Taken a problem for the Vex? Why do they need to be rescued from something that they're on the same side of?
I don't know if I can put the Vex at the same side of the Winnower or the Gardener. I think that
they're just
they were just a mechanism to enforce the rules. No matter which one, he needs to enforce the rules. It's to the traveler, to the darkness. Oh, you broke the rule. I will enforce the rule to you. It's not just for one side. It's for both sides.
Yeah,
so I find difficult to associate the Vex with the darkness directly.
I mean, not directly, but there is like the soul divisitive, the soul I think it's the Soul Divisitive.
Well, yeah, some of them and
Some of them end up worshiping the darkness because they're like,
Yeah, that's a specific faction of the Vex that adore the darkness.
Yes, there's a tiny faction of, or I wouldn't say tiny, but a subgroup
Some
of
of
Vex.
them.
They're like, we're gonna try and do this whole worship thing that the Hive were doing. We're gonna try that out, see where this leads us, and that ended up with the Black Garden.
I think that it was Quiria that taught them that.
Yes,
She was
and we found them adoring the Black Heart, the Dark Heart at the Black Garden. And interesting thing that a specific faction of the Vex, they fight with each other faction of the Vex. Right? It mentions that. The Vex, they fight each other. Oh my god.
Yeah, the other Vex think the soul of the group that worship the darkness. They're like, they're the weird kids. We don't talk to them.
There's even Vex. There's even Vex that are based off simulations of humans on arguably, reaching back to like a popular theory. Sorry, I'm not saying this is fact right now, but there are Vex on multiple planets that want to be your buddy, that want to be your friend, that you were the guardian that shows up.
The Captain Jameson.
Yeah, on Nessus, but then there's also the one on Europa, and I like to think it's the same one, but I can't really say
I like that too.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming that it is the same one.
Yeah.
But
I want to say it's the same guy, but like I can't
it does the same noises. Oh, my friend.
Yeah, like it does. I want to say, and people are like, well, how did he get over there? I was like, it's the Vex network. Like, he went through a gate, but they're like, what, do you travel between space? Like sure. That's why it took 3 years. Like, that's why it took 3 years.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so I like to think it's the same one, but I've gotten pushback on whether or not it's the same guy before. But
yeah,
there are Vex that want to be your friend. So that's why I wonder if, especially given the location of the Vault of Glass and the Black Garden within our solar system, and the location of what ends up being the entrance to Crota's Ascendant Realm being our moon, I wonder if there's not a narrative purpose to all those connections happening within the same solar system. And I say that because it just seems the Vex that we initially encountered in D1 seemed to be the red-headed stepchild, sort of like the black sheep of the family. The more we learn about the Vex, the worship of the darkness that the collectives and correctives that we did notice ended up having hearts of darkness that we've seen subsequently. We've seen on the moon, and we've read about on the moon from the K1 stuff, and in terms of influence. So I'm wondering if our initial introduction to the Vex lends us to believe that they're also, as every enemy was in D1, minions of the darkness.
Yeah, but that's kind of been retconned now.
Well, I agree with that. And especially when you go into the corrective nature of the story since then, all of the Vex we would have met in D1, I'm pretty sure would have been of the Hezin, like collective, corrective, whichever. And those are both like the worshipping darkness branches that the other ones we found out subsequently are kind of like nervous around and will fight with.
Yeah. I think, because with what you had said about the, going back to what you had said about the location of the Black Garden and Vogue being in our solar system is kind of, I would say, wrong. I think.
But they're both are.
They are, but they aren't, because, like, from my understanding, I always assumed that the Black Garden was like, and the Vault of Glass were in like, I wouldn't say, how would I put this? Like, Vault of Glass especially is basically a black box pocket dimension. At least how I've understood it. Because
Yeah.
Gorgons, if the Vault of Glass was a physical place on Venus, then why don't we have Gorgons? Why aren't there oracles? Why don't the Vex use the oracles more? Use Gorgons more? Because those can kill Guardians, as we've seen.
Yeah.
Well,
But those only can be used
It only
in
exists
that
in the Vault
space.
of Glass. So
Yeah,
it-
yeah.
So
They
maybe-
can only exist in the Vault of Glass.
maybe
Yeah.
this will make sense. The Vault of Glass where we entered from is, as I read it, a fixed point between timelines.
Yeah.
So multiple
Okay.
timelines are being focused in. However, in each timeline, that place is within our star system. It's on Venus.
Okay, that's how you see it. Okay.
And that's how he was able to do stuff like erase you from time. That's how they're able to do stuff like the Gorgons calling back to the oracles. Like there's a lot of different stuff that you're allowed to do when you operate through different potentials of reality, I guess is like good to say, because that was Atheon's whole thing, is he was a conflux of those things to make sure that they got the outcome they desired, which is different than existing in like different dimensions, like different realities. It's different forks from the same starting point.
Yeah. Okay. That's how you see it.
Yeah,
Okay, I
but
was just making-
it must be some kind of limitation that they can't use oracles outside the vault, or Gorgons outside the vault, or a Templar outside the vault.
Yeah, because if they could make Templars, like, just have every Vex mind be a Templar and give it some oracles, bam, win.
I
There you
submit.
go.
Yeah,
I
or
submit.
just 100 Gorgons.
I submit. I submit that the Gorgons are a little different, because once you enter the conflicts, it's a lot easier to erase you from it.
Yeah, it's kind of it's tricky. It's kind of
yeah.
tricky.
I submit that there might be a little specific nature to that erasure from time, sort of like erasing from time. But that being said, I gotta say, I don't think the Vex can do what the Hive do. I don't think the Vex can cut into other realities. I think they can only simulate them and try to control the one that they're in. And so, like, kind of an interesting note, it might be worth saying, going super extra Spinfoil here, when ultimately Savathun, by way of Crota's sisters, tricked him into cutting the Vex into this time stream, what she did was tip the scales away from the darkness, not add to it.
Well, assuming, well, Savathun pretty much since the beginning didn't like their whole ordeal with the
They're
worms.
packed.
She thought it was
Yeah.
they're packed with the worm god. She hated it. She thought it. She told Oryx, she's like, "Hey Oryx, this deal. What if we're wrong?" Because I remember reading that, like, her basically telling Oryx, "What if we do all of this and we're not the final shape?" And he's just like, "Well."
Do you know what's wild to me about that? They can cut into
just
other
not thinking about
realities, and they never considered that to be like their end game. Once they conquer this one, they'll just go into another one, and endlessly
Like, I
go
don't know.
into.
I mean, I guess they could just do that.
Well, no, that has never been anything they've mentioned.
I know. I'm saying that's what they could do, but I don't know if that's
I don't
because
think
I
that's
don't
on
know
their
if
radar.
just them cutting through. I'm not really necessarily sure if that's just they can go to any dimension or if it's limited. Like I said, there's not
It's wild.
a hive magic
Yeah.
how that works. Because my understanding was they can only go here and then when they cut a hole here, it goes to the ascendant plane, and then if they try to cut a hole from the ascendant plane, they go back to here. That's kind of how I understood it. It was like opening a door, shutting a door. I don't know if they have doors to other places. Like, we don't know.
It makes me wonder.
Like other planes of existence. We don't know.
If I remembering correctly, Crota opened the cut by mistake.
Mm-hmm.
He was led to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was definitely led to. I agree. I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, by his sisters, by way of Sabbath.
We don't know if they can do that willingly.
Yeah.
I wanna open the door to another dimension. Rah!
I gotta tell you. I think what's his face? I want to say Aurash, but that's not his name now. Oryx. No. Oryx is his son.
No, Oryx is the big.
Oryx is
big
the
daddy.
Taken King.
Crota is his son.
Big daddy.
I want to say
Crota
Oryx.
is the baby.
Yeah,
there you go.
I had a brain
was just
fart.
like,
What?
I had a brain fart. No. Things.
How could you forget who Oryx is?
Things get jumbled around in my brain. It's not my fault, but I'm sorry.
I'm kidding. I'm just messing with you.
I know.
You good, bro?
I want to say Oryx could do the same thing Crota did because he was able to seal it for whatever reason, and I believe it goes to his vendetta and his sister's vendetta against the Traveler. He did not pursue other dimensions realities.
Yeah, because I guess if that makes sense then, because if they go into an alternate reality, they might end up with one without the darkness, and then all their super cool powers, poof. Then they'd be sad. That would be really interesting though, because like, always like if you're like in this reality, and then you go to a different reality where there's different, I guess, laws of physics, I guess, that differ from your reality to the one you're going to. Like, let's say in your reality you had more, and then you go to a one that has less laws of
physics might be unique from reality to reality.
That's what I'm... Like, there might be different, I guess, rules. Like, in Destiny. If you were in Destiny's universe, so to speak, and you go from Destiny to Halo, for example. Halo does not have paracausality like Destiny, so...
Yeah.
Would like a Guardian go and end up in the Halo universe, and they're like, I'm gonna go... Like...
So...
I think... So who knows, basically.
This has all been...
We kind of went on a tangent.
We went on a huge tangent. I'm going to bring this back around because that was all great. I'm not going to edit it out. But that kind of brings us back to what we were talking about, though. Lakshmi-2. Maya Sundaresh.
I have a question about our main topic is, if we are assuming that, let's assume that Lakshmi is Maya Sundaresh, but which version? And
which version? I don't know.
And there is another thing. I think that we all know that there is a mind behind the Endless Night, and we know which mind is that. That mind appears in the very first mission of the season. Yeah, I could grab a nice screenshot of it.
Yeah,
and I would like to know if that version of Sundaresh is under control of that mind, because it's inside the Vex network.
So
and that mind is taking control of the Vex network.
So
yes, I know what you're saying.
I feel like I feel like that Lakshmi, that M sum 12. If N sum 12, if we take it to the next level, is that Lakshmi?
Okay.
I feel like, alright, so taking it both ways, I guess. I feel like if Lakshmi 12 is in control of technology from the Vex network, is she in control or susceptible or like easily influenced by that by the Vex network? Yeah, that she
Yes,
that she
I think
air quotes
100%,
took over. I think that's totally on the table, and maybe that has to do with how I think maybe she was supplanted with a Terminator Sundaresh. But I'm gonna put a pin in that for now.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, we already know that at least future war cults and Lakshmi is influenced, to put it lightly, by Savathun. Because if you look at
Just a little bit.
the shotgun for
The
this
day
season,
aside.
yes, that one. If you look at the binary of it and
I have done that.
yeah, do the code. Yeah, you've done that. So it's Savathun's
Yeah.
song, repeated over and over and over. So the fact that it's in the Future War Cult network and it's everywhere, basically in the last city, in previous story, Lakshmi sang that song.
Rise up as one, march towards the sun.
It's the same tune. It's the same tune. So
Yeah.
I think definitely Lakshmi is under the influence of Savathun, whether it's a result of using the device that they've been using to peer through timelines, and that uses the which, if Savathun is using Cura, for example, to create the Endless Night, it could then also reach into the Vex network, see little Lakshmi looking through the timelines and be like, what are you doing over there? I'm gonna mess with your brain. Haha. Because that's all she does is she just does deception and deceit, and that's her whole game. Her whole game is to deceive people. So
in the lore fragment of this week from the Beneath the Endless Night lore book, the book talks about the Vex device that Lakshmi uses to see many futures, and it's pretty possible that that device is being influenced or used by the Vex network to influence her.
No, I definitely agree. I think that because of her repeated use of the device has led to Lakshmi being corrupted by Savathun. But yeah, basically yes. I'm basing yes, I agree.
I concur. Okay. I concur with that.
So Taylor, back to you saying about her possibly being Terminator Sundaresh.
Well, I think with her sudden different disposition of being ready for an incoming war and kind of predicting these different things, and her hard line view against the Fallen, which she had never had before. With Terminator Sundaresh proclivity with working with darkness forces, particularly Vex minds, and I gotta tell you, especially with how the Vex network operates, if she's also gone into the Oxen machine, if it's the same N712, and she's the same one that was able to infiltrate a frame and basically flay Clovis Bray before he was able to transfer his mind to the AI and Banshee 44, the XO. I don't see why, because especially once they enter the Vex network, they do that, I want to say, slightly before the collapse. There's no saying
that definitely happens before the collapse, because they're just doing research at this point. They're like, oh, we're doing science. This is the golden age, And I know there is mention in, I think, one of the Vex cards where they talked about, I think one of the researchers at Ishtar had been offered a job at Clovis Bray, but they turned it down. Because I remember, I think it might be in the Grimoire Anthology, Volume 3. Because I know there is a chunk about the Ishtar Collective as a group.
It was Dwayne. Dwayne refused the job at Clovis.
Yes. So we know
Surprisingly.
that this is
It's on
surprisingly.
Ghost Fragment Vex 3.
Vex 3. Thank you. But yeah. So with that in mind, and we know that Clovis Bray's company existed during the Golden Age, definitely say that the Vex Fragments 1 through 5 happened during the Golden Age, not the collapse.
So I wonder if that happens during the Golden Age. That's decidedly after the original Ishtar Collective cards. I wonder if MSUM 12 was actually created before the collapse.
Possible. It's possible that MSUN 12 is one of the iterations of the Maya Sundaresh that was in the Vex, like one of those original groups, and maybe that she got separated. So she was the one that was, or that particular version of Maya Sundaresh was.
She's definitely She's definitely one of the ones that went back in. I want to say for sure.
But yeah, we don't really know, I guess. But I definitely agree that I don't think it's that much stretch to see, I guess, Terminator Sundaresh, because as we saw in entry 12 of the Clovis Bray logbook. I can't talk today. She literally says to Clovis, "I'm in these frames, I'm in your systems, I'm in your very bones, old man." Like, she's in everything. Like, basically the Vex are in everything. So I don't think it's that much of a stretch to say Terminator Sundaresh could have gotten to an Exo.
I concur. I concur. So, where I'm coming at with this, and what I ultimately submit to you guys to kind of talk about with me, is at some point through the use of the probability kiln, which I believe, though due to construction, I believe has some fundamental similarity with accessing the Vex probability network, simulation network, to where even if it's not like connected to the Vex network, which I don't think it was, I don't think they'd do that if they thought that was a thing. I think it's susceptible to it because I think it's like a similar thing, similar type of technology. They're both rooted in construction.
Yeah.
I think that paves the perfect opportunity for MSUN 12 to get involved with and take over Lakshmi-2 because it's a simulation of the original, right?
Yeah.
That being said, I think we have a great tragedy because Maya Sundaresh is now dead. But 2, we have to wonder, like, when exactly did that occur? Because how long have they been... It makes you wonder how long they've been pushing events in the city. And 2, why is this construction technology available to humanity seeming to be the crux of the Vex technology?
Got a point.
Like if I had to construct my Spinfoil hat into a swan and it reached its ultimate form, I would wonder if the Vex weren't always something that humanity eventually created by mistake or on purpose.
So are you suggesting that humanity created the Vex? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yep.
Oh, I saw a lot of theories about that.
Yep.
Including one that says that we are the Vex and the Vex are us.
Or they could be something we created too that either got left behind and
I,
is like following its original directives a little like too close to the letter, but they don't have anyone to like tell it what to do anymore. Kind of like Siva. And so it just makes me wonder.
it is possible.
I mean, possible, maybe, probable, probably not. I mean, we have
Yeah.
the Vex portal on in the Glassway Strike, where I think it was 2048 of Volantis, whatever.
Forge Star.
The Forge Star. Yeah, that. Unless we're having like another situation where humanity was super advanced, got knocked back to the Stone Age, and time went on as normal, or I guess if you add in time travel, which then in itself is a paradox, because we haven't created the Vex yet, but now the Vex are here. It's a lot of leaps, I think, in my personal opinion.
I found something interesting while I was reading about the Sol Divisive. That is the Vex faction that use moss. They have moss covered frames. The ones in the Black Garden and the Garden of Salvation. And there is an interesting phrase that says, "They are not all mine, not in the way that admirers such as my man Oryx are mine, utterly devoted to the practice of my principle, but some of them have, nonetheless, found their way home." Who said that was the darkness.
Yeah, the darkness.
So they are not all mine.
Yeah.
The darkness says that, but some of them have nonetheless found their way home. Found their way home. I think that this pretty much connects the Vex with the Gardener game, but the darkness assumes that the Vex are not all there.
Yeah.
Not all from the darkness, because as I said before, the Vex were a tool to control the game. Just that, to enforce the rules.
Yeah.
And that phrase I was reading, and oh my god, that pretty much fit with what I was saying. Oh my god, sorry about that.
You're fine.
And I think that this pretty much debunks the theory that we are the Vex and the Vex are us.
I concur there. What I wonder about, though... So I agree that we are not the Vex. I think everything you just said was correct. What I wonder about is... Even if humanity doesn't create the Vex, is there a timeline maybe where they came from? Where they interacted with humanity, or even one of the other races, probably not the Elixni, but maybe even the Hive. Well, we know in our timeline they interacted with the Hive first, because as I've gone over before, their whole design doesn't make sense for a machine race without being in someone's image. And in our timeline, I think we can pin that to the Hive, because everything that they did was disseminated throughout the network, even those who didn't ended up like worshipping the darkness, like the Edson Collective and Corrective did. And so, that all being said, going back to their possible influence on Lakshmi and the Ishtar Collective before and maybe even after the Clovis Bray raid is one thing that I really need to consider is Clovis Bray shared the exo technology with the different sites. That's how he said he got them to cooperate. I want to say that was part of his convincing when he thought he was bringing the Maya Sundaresh that ended up being Terminator Sundaresh on board, was sharing his resources with them. And we know in other parts of the lore that Clovis Bray sharing their resources with other people can come up with things like Eta-1, which is like the Rolls Royce of Exos. Like the handcrafted luxury Exo.
Yeah, another Exo that was created with unwilling, without her consent. She was dying, of course.
Yeah, and she also was a child. And
she had parental consent. Her guardian said it was cool.
I think that we have
her guardian.
Only
I just realized what
I think that we have only 2 Exos confirmed that didn't were created at Deepstone Crypt. One of them being Ada, and the another one, Fellwinter.
Yeah, that's right. And then there is the third, because I know Fellwinter was 1, 2 special Rasputin Exos. I think there was another one, but
it's an Echo.
Yeah, the Echoes. I'm not sure if I guess the Echoes are.
Yeah, but Rasputin called him an Golan Siddhartha.
Yeah, there's another Golem, is what it was. I think there's 2. I think in his like if else then.
I want to meet Gandhi Fellwinter.
God.
I want to meet super altruistic Gandhi Fellwinter. I'm just saying, Fellwinter was very direct, brass tacks. Might makes right. As long as you're on the right side of things, basically. I would love to see if the duality was the other one that was met, if we get to meet her to see like what it did was this altruistic sort of, not to make like a joke on the name, but a Siddhartha Golem as opposed to Siddhartha Golem like the first Buddha. I think that'd be super interesting.
Interesting that Fellwinter doesn't have a number.
That's what I was thinking.
He does.
I think he's the only one.
It's etched on his chest. That's back in D1 in Rise of Iron, because Fellwinter is not his true name. It says you have a number etched on your chest. Someone else points out. I think it's Teamer.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
It's in Rise of Iron. It's one of the either the token or like those little like relic things you have lore. And I want to think it's the one that's referenced to Teamer. But basically, like Teamer and Fellwinter are doing some stuff, and Teamer. If you remember, Teamer's relic was the one that I like to call the friendship punch. You could punch an enemy and they would like fight with you till you killed them.
The artifact.
Yeah, the artifact. And he calls out Fellwinter basically, and he's like, yeah, and that like I'm paraphrasing. I'm really like cutting it down like without giving it justice, but he's basically like calls out the number etched on his chest. And like calls out that Fellwinter isn't his real name, which is a reference back to when
it's Lord Tamir.
Yeah. And that's a reference and Lucy, call me out here if I'm wrong, but that's a reference back to when Fellwinter is first brought up. It's some lore about him talking to his ghost and them telling him that your name is Fellwinter, and him being like, that's not mine. He's like, shut up. That's your name now.
Yeah. I think, well, in the Lord Tamir Grimoire card from D1, uh, Tamir kind of interrogates Felwinter about, what the hell are you?
And
Like,
Fellwinter almost shoots him too.
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, Fellwinter notices really quickly that like Teamer knows what's up, and then he realizes that he's just getting a friendship punch in the heart, and that Teamer was his friend all along, and like didn't care. It's just that like he wasn't really hiding it, and that it was kind of obvious to anyone who was paying attention. Because that's also right before they're about to assault the Seaver refinery.
Yep.
They're like scouting for it, and Teamer, I
Yeah,
want to say,
it's the
has
same.
this like line of like enemies behind him that he's friendship punched.
Yeah, because it's the same lore entry in the Lord Tamir one that is also it's reverse perspective in, I believe it's Felwinter's helm. I think.
Yeah,
I think maybe it's one of. I know there is a.
I'm trying to find that piece.
No, it's Felwinter's life. Felwinter's life. I should have realized this.
ooh,
Use that
sorry, yeah.
shotgun too much in PvP.
So
Is the
it's
Lord
OG
Tap from
Fellwinter's
the
lie. I want to say
shotgun?
D1.
Yeah.
I want to say the D1 Fellwinter's
No,
lie.
no. The D1, the D1, the D2
Oh,
one.
okay.
The D2 one is the reverse.
I think. I know there is a lore entry. One is from perspective, and in D2 was the opposite perspective. I know that exists.
In
I just
D1,
don't-
it's from Teamer's perspective. I want to say.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe it's
which
during
one it
that
is.
quest.
Ah, it's the one you're specifically referring to about him changing his name is the
I think it's at the lore book, The Liar.
yeah, but there's also in the Winter's Guile. Listen to me very carefully. They're coming for you.
Yeah,
Your
your
name
name
is
is
Fellwinter.
Fellwinter. Yeah,
I don't think that's my name. I know. Say it anyway.
yeah. And then you get into Teamer calling him out on there being a number etched in on his chest,
Yeah.
and he's
Later.
an XO.
Yeah.
And
What's
so,
interesting is that Fellwinter remembers the Deep Stone Crypt. I think that's interesting. He says, "Why can't I remember my name? I always remember something's wrong. Was I damaged in crypt processing?" His ghost says, "I don't know anything about the Deep Stone Crypt before my time."
I think that has to do with being an XO. I think you probably have subroutines and processes that probably run. I mean,
remembering.
even Cade says all of them have the same dream,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
and so this isn't too far fetched to me that they, especially one that's an AI to begin with, trying to exist as close to a human as they can. It doesn't surprise me that they like have subroutines upon subroutines that like even with the resurrected without their memory saying like, hey, this is wrong. So, all that bringing us back around. I gotta tell you, I have a really hard time thinking that a Golden Age built, or I have a really hard time arguing with the idea that a Golden Age built EXO that regularly hooks up to what seems to be at least based upon the same structure as Vex technology, even if it's not Vex technology or what like is a precursor of Vex technology, ending up getting taken over by what I believe was all along a creation of Quaria in M-Sun 12.
Interesting.
I don't think pushing him toward the darkness and trying to sabotage his whole thing, that's not something the Vex do. The Vex simulate you and take you over. That's something Savathun does. And so if someone's going to rear their head again, it's someone that I suspect kind of comes from Savathun's machinations to begin with, like her ideas. M-Sun 12. And the reason I think this brings us back around to is Lakshmi Maya Sundaresh is that who better to impersonate someone than a simulation of her?
Yeah.
If I'm not too like crazy on my Charlie Day, like bored of yarn and thumbtacks, what do you think? What do you think, Lucy?
So you're saying Lakshmi was, or
Is now.
prior to using the device repeatedly to kind of manipulate the future or the present to
Predict
be
it,
the
yeah.
future that she wants this season. You said before that she was Lakshmi, using the device she got the Vex and everything.
I'm saying she became
Basically,
susceptible to the Vex by going in the probability kiln, which the Ishtar Collective either developed or figured out how to use based on Vex technology. And then at some point, between D1 and D2, or even the beginning of D2 and now, she got supplanted by M-Sun 12. And
Okay.
the reason I say that is going back to the original, is Lakshmi-2 originally Maya Sundaresh? I think that's kind of clear from the ghost fragments and the connection of sharing technology. Other places were able, that Clovis Bray was sharing that developing technology to create exos, and I don't see why the Ishtar Collective, especially if Maya Sundaresh coming on site ended up being a simulation and just all in his head, why they wouldn't have had equal access to it, at least before they were raided, to exos. And the idea that, you have Lakshmi-2 in charge of the future war cult, you have Maya Sundaresh at the end of the Ghost Fragment Vex series kind of saying that they'd formed a little cult around their predicting the future and the future conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea that M-Sun 12 seems to be a creation of Quaria in Savathun. That simulation is unlike any simulation that the Vex on their own have been known to run. That simulation that was created with hundreds and was distinguished as different to become an operative is something the Vex had never done in any other instance, even against Guardians. It's a little too clever for them. Finding a simulation of someone that's willing to kind of like destroy itself. So, getting back to kind of the crux of this, I really think there's a strong idea that Lakshmi-2 started out as Maya Sundaresh, because I think it makes all the more sense, especially this season, that M-Sun 12 was able to kind of slip in there. Terminator Sundaresh was able to kind of like slip in there unnoticed, because it's a simulation of the same person. it's a copy of the same person.
So let's assume that Lakshmi is Sun 12 or Terminator Sundaresh. And what happened with the original Lakshmi? She was deleted, destroyed,
Taken over?
erased. Can we recover
I
her
don't know.
consciousness?
I don't know. Well, in a way, since she was made an exo, yes, you always can. But it might not be the same Lakshmi.
Okay. Yeah. You can reset.
Or re-download. Because they're in the Deep Stone Crypt. Unless they were destroyed. And then you're kind of SOL. But yeah.
Yeah.
So I would agree with all that. Yes.
It's weird. I remember a certain fragment of the lore that said that Lakshmi was at London. I think that was London.
Yes, there.
When she saw the House of Devils, if I'm not
yes, she
mistaken.
was. She saw the House of Devils burn London.
Yeah.
People fighting the darkness and by the seeds of Tycho, and she saw High that eventually saved by the future war. From
I think
Lakshmi's
that
idle dialogue in D1 and 2.
I think that part of London can justify her hate towards the Elixir.
Yeah, no, definitely. If you're seeing the burning of London, I think incredibly gruesome. If I remember the.
Yeah.
It was gruesome in real life too.
Yeah. So like
there is a new lore book that she talks about that with a elixir, but I think that this specific fragment isn't available to get in the game. I think that
you can read it on Ishtar.
Yeah.
Ooh, so
that's because I did. Oh my god. That's why I didn't want to mention
it. No. I think we're cool in this context. I can put a spoiler tag on the episode, and then this will be where they'll be like, oh, later, like, yes, this is where the spoiler tag was appropriate for. So you're fine.
Okay.
We're not live. No one was ruined in real time. I promise. So I can dig that. I submit that it happened between the beginning of D2 and now. Between the Red War and now. At some point, she got supplanted. Because I never heard Lakshmi say anything two ways from any direction about the Elixir Fallen before this season.
But, I mean, there was the idle dialogue about her being at the... watching the House of Devils burn London, and so
But she never said anything about it. Like, she never had...
Like, she did. She has idle dialogue where she talks about it.
But she... Like, now or back then?
No, you can't listen to her now.
Not now, but, like... I know there was idle dialogue.
Close to her at the Future War Code room and talk to her. Sometimes she talks about things about her past.
Yeah, it was. Stuff. It was in Destiny. It was in Destiny.
Which one?
I really.
It was in Destiny 1.
Destiny 1. Okay, then I stand corrected. Yeah. I was suggesting that like sometime between like the beginning of D1 and the Red War, and now she'd been supplanted. But if you're saying that well, and I guess like to my thinking, like that makes it all the more interesting. She never really seemed to like hate the Fallen before. But I guess to your point in kind of a raising sort of issue with that is a good point. If that was back in D1.
Yeah, and then in D. What's interesting about the actual name Lakshmi is a goddess in Hinduism.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And is associated with Maya, which I believe is another Hindu. Has references in Hinduism as well, basically.
Yeah, that's something that's another thing that I noticed. This was one of my like brain theories back when I was just like, playing the game.
I think they're definitely related, and I think that Maya Sundaresh could be Lakshmi. I'm not necessarily sure which version of Lakshmi, but
well, clearly version 2.
Obviously,
Sorry.
Obviously that, but I mean, like, we don't know whether it's like Terminator Sundaresh, whether it was like we willingly did or something.
I can dig it. Yeah, I think there's definitely and Edson, let me know how you feel too right after this, but I sort of agreeing with you, Lucy. I think there's definitely a connection between Maya Sundaresh and Lakshmi, and I think it's fun to talk about if there is a possibility that Terminator Sundaresh just kind of like moved in there. Yeah, for sure. What do you think, Edson?
I think we have many evidence that can connect those dots, but I don't know. I wanted to see the rest of the season to
yeah, definitely that too.
To have a opinion about that, because the rest of the season could show us something that
else.
strengthens this theory or weakens it. How can I say? Each week we get some fragments about Lakshmi, some details, some texts, or inside in-game dialogue, and I think that the rest of the season could be crucial for that. Right now, I think that it's pretty difficult to confirm that.
Yeah.
Oh, it is really. It is. No, it's not. We can't. I think that we can. How can I say? I think that we can just say one thing or another. Yes or no. We can't say that now. We must.
Yeah, we don't have a definitive answer.
Yeah, we don't have. I think that we are missing some details that the rest of the season are going to give us, and then we can
sort of I think out, that put it together.
I think that it's not about her hate towards the Lixney. I think that her desire about overthrowing the Vanguard, the consensus, that is not Lakshmi, and we can use that to point towards Sundaresh or Terminator Sundaresh or M-Sun 12, but I think that it's not enough. We need more evidence. That's what I thought.
I can dig it. I can appreciate that. Needing a little more clarification or clarity, not to make an exo joke.
But to be honest, it's a pretty strong theory.
I appreciate that.
It's a pretty solid theory. Let's see how the rest of the season rolls, and then we can talk again.
I can dig it. Well, you'll certainly be invited back for the revisit to any Terminator Sundaresh and any other theories. We'll be sending.
Oh, that wasn't my intention to invite myself.
Oh well, yeah. well. Sorry. I've already invited you back, so you can't invite yourself.
Oh, I want to be invited back.
I know, but we did it before you could do it to yourself. We've already done it. I think that's a great place. Lizzie, what do you think? Is that a great place to like move into scores?
I think so.
What I can go first, but do you want to go first or
Sure, I'll go first, I guess.
you can do
We're doing arbitrary.
whatever you feel, as it always, unless we have like, unless we come up with like our own scale ahead of the show. I feel like it's always going to be random.
Okay, just making sure this time. I'm gonna say it's 50. Vex simulations.
Only 50.
Only 50.
Only
It's
50
in the
Vex
middle.
simulations. Okay, I can dig it. I'm going to give it 512 Ishtar Vex simulations.
Beautiful.
Because that's how many I think it took to begin this process that like led us down this sort of snowball effect. What do you think? What do you think, Mr. Edson?
Oh, I'm gonna use my best score from the other podcast we recorded. I think it's 227.72 kiomas.
Oh my!
That's a very specific number.
Very specific.
I know, right?
I wanna also offer we for anyone listening, we actually made show notes because a popular theory in D1 considered that is Lakshmi Kioma. And we didn't talk about that at all, but I hope everything we said kind of dissuaded you from that, because that's I think almost been disproven at this point. I think that's a flagged theory at this point. So yeah, we were gonna talk about it, but we just got so sidetracked with all our interesting conversation.
Yes.
Oh, that was a nice conversation.
I enjoyed it so much. Mr. Edson, do you have any shout-outs that you'd like to give before we sign off here?
I want to give a shout out to you guys for inviting me, of course. It's always a pleasure to be here. It's an honor, to be honest. There are no much space for the Brazilian community inside the Destiny directory, and it's always an honor to represent my country and my community. I want to give a shout out to my followers at my page, at my social media, and to my wife, of course. And that's it. I think that pretty much this.
That is so lovely, and just please know, even when we were first reaching out, and still today, we are always so honored to have you on our program. Your impact and positivity and reach in the Destiny community, I want you to know, goes beyond Brazil. And we really feel special having you on our show.
Thanks, man. Thanks for those words. And one more thing I would like to say is that oh my God, I've gone fuzzy now.
Oh, you're gonna say?
Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. Sorry.
Brain fart?
If I remember, I'll talk later.
Yeah, if it's fine, we can splice it in. I'll do it. No worries. There's no worries.
What a shame.
No, it's not what a shame. It'll come to you. It's okay. It's hard to be on the spot. Speaking of which, Lucy.
I remember.
Yes.
remember.
Do it.
I remember. I would like to, beforehand, I would like to apologize for my English. It's not my mother language, and it's very, very hard to me to. I don't have many conversations like that with people talking English all the time, and it's a little bit difficult to me. But I hope that everyone could understand what I was saying and could enjoy our show.
Oh, Lucy, I'm sure you join me in this. Edson, you speak English so well. We never had any trouble at all. Like, really, really, like, you never, for what it's worth, from two native English speakers, you never have to apologize. You come across loud and clear.
Thanks, man. Glad to hear that.
Absolutely. No, like, you are very well spoken, and please pat yourself on the back for that if you think it's something you struggle with, because you do great.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Anytime. Lizzie, do you have any shout outs for this week?
I don't.
You're allowed to pass if you're not sure right now, or if you just don't have one.
I don't think I have one this week. I don't really.
That's okay.
I guess I can think of one. Hold on. You can just cut all this part of me going.
Yes, I will. That's the beauty of not doing this live.
I'm so sleepy.
Do you want to go after me while you're thinking about it?
Sure, you can just cut all that part out.
No. I give you my word I will, unless it ends up being really hilarious when I listen to it later.
No. Please no.
But I want to give a shout out to the Plus Cheese, the clan that was formerly Regis Umbra that I was surprised wasn't renamed Cheesus Umbra. But I want to give a big shout out to you guys, and kind of like being very welcoming to me and helping run raids and doing stuff with me. I think that's been great. The whole crew is a lot of fun, and I'm just really happy.
We only have one brain cell. Collectively, as a group, we have one brain cell, and we share it between everyone.
And you're kind of like the Vex or the Geth. That's all I'm saying. In that way,
we have one brain cell.
You have one directive.
We share it between.
You are the cheese directive. Cheese Collective? Is that a new? Because I was really surprised when you guys, because they used to be Regis Umbra. I was really surprised they didn't go to Cheesus Umbra.
But that would have been funny.
I'm here for Cheese Collective.
We just like cheese.
Or the Cheese Corrective.
It all started because of this really stupid video my partner sent me. That it was this burger, and they just kept add cheese.
Add cheese?
It was so stupid. But I sent it to basically all of my clan, and they're like, this is the greatest thing. I love it.
Yeah.
So then it kind of became a joke between us. And then I was, you know what? Regis Umbra sounds too fancy pants. We're just a bunch of crazy people.
Plus cheese.
So,
plus cheese.
Add cheese. Destiny, add cheese.
But big shout out to you guys. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun running with you. But it's so funny to me because just the amount of cheese. I don't know if anyone knows this. This is the clan. These are the guys. This raid team were the guys I figured out before they fixed it, that you could go back in time and kill Atheon before the final encounter.
Yeah, we did that a few times. Just like, let's see if this works.
I'm mad they fixed it. That should be a canon way. Using the Vex network against the Vex seems to be like a good way. Like, how is that not canon? I feel like I should be rewarded with double loot.
Double loot or something.
For figuring out how to do that. But that's just Taylor. I know that's not what Bungie intended, but yeah, that's where my shout out goes this week. It's to the Destiny Add Cheese crew.
My little clan I have of crazy people. We're all crazy. Crazy. Why are we the way we are? That's besides the point. I guess It's Maya and I to do my shout out. I guess my shout out is to my shout out is to my my work for being super chill, because we had a conference this week, or have a conference this week, and I'm in charge of I'm basically like not a community manager, but kind of like, I guess, chat moderator. That's the word. I'm a moderator for this conference we have, and it's been kind of nice hearing people outside of my work say the stuff I'm doing is cool. So that's been nice.
Super groovy.
I guess, as an aside, for people who don't know, my real job, when I'm not doing on the podcast and doing podcast related stuff, is I'm a software engineer working at a laboratory that is basically, I'm a software engineer consultant for NASA.
Whoa.
Killing it.
Yep, that's
Killing
pretty
it.
much.
I'm gonna add, because you're not saying how much you're killing it, I'm gonna add that to the end. Like, you are a killing it
I'm killing it.
software engineer for NASA. Because you
Okay.
kill it. I believe this.
Okay, thank you.
I've seen your work elsewhere, so I know that you kill it. Because you do stuff for us for fun, so like, when you're like trying and focused, I can only imagine how much more you kill it.
Yes.
Actually, that sounds loaded. You kill it, you're focused on all our shit. Sorry about that. You're awesome, so I know that you're awesome in other stuff.
I get it. I got you. I understand what you're saying. I get you.
It was worth being said right though. So thank you for working through that with me. You know, I know if the conference is this week.
Yeah, no, we're about halfway through it right now. We just have tomorrow and then
Dude.
Friday.
Dude, you
Yeah,
got
so
this.
tired.
You're going to
So
kill
tired.
it.
No, you don't understand.
You're going to kill it, and
Get
you're
up.
going to have such a good nap afterward.
No, man, I have to get up at like really early. I'm not a morning bird, so I have to get up super early. Make sure the Zoom's all good.
Okay.
Make sure it's just. I'm tired.
I'm gonna offer one thing of advice: have a treat yourself breakfast, even if that means eating ice cream with your coffee. Have like a feel good breakfast. Whenever you're stressed and you're not in front of like the camera for doing stuff, you just have to like kind of like MC things. I say like treat yourself. If you got a bowl of ice cream or something that makes you feel good, like right next to you, while you're doing it, it makes the whole thing easier. Just my whole point is, this isn't a literal suggestion, but just like find time to do something nice for yourself while you're doing this stressful work is really what I'm getting at. Is the ultimate point I'm trying to make.
Super good advice.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and the listeners too. If whenever you're stressed for something, man, like whenever you can find something to do, time or like space to do something nice for yourself, take the opportunity. Every time. I'm not saying like
Just do it.
Yeah.
No, I just changed the clan name again. I'm sorry.
What'd you change it to?
Velveeta Collective, because Velveeta is the name of the cheese that they use.
Ooh.
So Bungie in-house.
It's
has
the
a
most
group that is
meltedly.
They have an in-group house that's called, I think it's like, I forget what it is, but
Velveeta?
basically they call it Velveeta, and that is their raid team,
I love
basically, that goes in and
Finds the
makes
cheese.
sure that they basically like, okay, how do we break this?
Are they?
And then they tell
There's
the
smooth
devs,
cheese.
hey, this is how we broke it. Use Telesto and a warlock with top tree, and you shoot around and eat your grenade, you break through or something with, super stupid stuff like
I love it.
like that.
I love it. Okay, that's amazing, and I think that's a great That is a great shift to the name. I look forward to playing for you guys. I can't wait to see what the short tag is, but that'll be for next episode. Don't share it with everyone just yet.
Okay.
If you wanna find out, please add us or write in and be like what you think the short tag should be for the Velveeta Collective.
Yes, the Velveeta Collective. I hope I spelled Velveeta correctly.
Double check
I
now.
did.
Now's the time.
Yes,
Now's the time to find out.
It is spelled correctly. It is great.
Oh, dude.
Everyone's gonna log in and see the new clan name. They're gonna be like, "What did you do now?" I do this a lot.
They'll be jazzed. They'll be jazzed. If anyone says
jazzed.
anything, they're wrong.
Exactly.
But Edson, thank you so much for joining us once again, buddy. We can't wait to have you back when we revisit this and many other topics. Yeah, again, it was truly an honor to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me again, and the honor is mine, my friend. Thanks for calling me and thinking about me as a guest again here. It's always a pleasure, and I'm always willing to be a part of that podcast.
Oh, awesome. That really means a lot. So yeah, with that, everyone listening, stay safe. Try your best to be happy. Do something nice for yourself. And we'll see you here next time. Until then, bye-bye.
Doodles.
Bye.
That's the end of this week's topic, but be sure to check out our past and future episodes on Spotify, iTunes, and Podbean. If you have any questions about this week's topic, want to discuss Destiny lore with us, or just feel like reaching out, you can find us on Twitter at Spinfoil Theory, or you can email us via spinfoiltheory@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Toodles!